Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars.
Yeah.
Welcome. Here I am with Andy of Wise Ass Astrology. Hello,
Yeah.
Andy.
Hello, how are you doing? We are in Mexico.
Are we? Oh,
Are
we
we
are.
in Mexico?
Yeah. We're in
Mexico.
Ciudad de Mexico.
This is not exactly the Northern Lights.
Not
I know you want to see
exactly.
the Aurora Borealis.
I really want to see the Aurora Borealis.
Well, yes, the
That's
Aurora
one thing I still haven't seen.
The Aurora Borealis.
Yes, yes.
Well, the Aurora Borealis. But our areolas are not borealis.
Oh,
That's
dear.
because Mars is in the sign of Cancer, which means our nipples are very exciting.
So, yeah.
And there's emotion and passion pouring out intensely. But Mars in Cancer is trining Saturn in Pisces. It's been trining Saturn in Pisces.
So it means be responsible with your Oreos.
Well, but all the emotions and all the passions that are pouring out of our stomach, our exciting nipples, it's all like coming out in a waterfall, and we need some foundation to catch it. You know, you need a rock at the bottom of the waterfall to catch it that our feet can stand on. And that's very
exciting.
Very important.
It's very important and it's very exciting.
Yeah. So people, if you have, people have to accept sometimes that they have mother issues, especially some of the men out there, they say, look, you have mother issues, that's fine. And Saturn and Pisces are like, look, well, I'll accept that. Just,
it's
no
not
BS.
fine.
No,
it's not okay.
No, it's okay because you have to work through that.
Okay.
Saturn and Pisces, here's the thing. When Saturn and Pisces will eventually go into Aries, and then it's going to go back into Pisces. So the whole thing when things transitioned from the last sign to the first sign, from Pisces to Aries, is first you have to accept before you restart. So with Saturn and Pisces, first we have to accept that we have to work on things before we actually tackle things head on. So you actually have to accept you have issues. So these people watching the video, I know people watching the video sometimes in the comment section.
They can tell how exciting you are and excited you are and how much you have to share.
Not exactly.
Jump in right away.
No, because in maybe some of the female viewers like me, but I talked about in my video on my channel, Wise Ass Astrology, people have mother issues and they have Oedipal complexes, and I think they want to see you. They like this beautiful Nadiya, who's a great mother. And you're a great mother for them. You have this feminine energy, and they don't want to see me in the picture. They want to get rid of me.
I'll accept the feminine energy part.
Right, but so I'm saying,
mom, I'm not a mom.
Well, that's the thing.
I'm a dog mom in this life.
No, that's the whole thing. When Saturn and Pisces, sometimes you have to accept, like, okay, when Neptune goes back into Pisces, and Saturn and Pisces, you have to accept, like, all right, fine, your mother, I'll accept that image, but hey, look, I'm on top of things,
So here we are. We are going to be discussing the astrology of April and beyond of 2025.
Right, but we're still talking about the Oedipal issues. Now, here's the thing.
Let's do it.
Here's the thing. When past videos that I've done with you, some of the female commenters have been very nice, but there's always a male commenter saying, like, oh, who's this? He's talking to Nadiya in a very wise-ass way. And they're very protective of you.
Oh, really?
And they want to get rid of me.
Okay.
They don't want me to see me here with you. These guys, they do say, "What if you get out of here?" One of the guys, every time a female commenter said nice things about me, what a great friend. He says, Andy's not a great friend. He's a horrible friend.
Are you? No.
Well, according to him, he didn't like me because I was, I'm daddy to him, and he wants to get rid of me.
But
You're
look,
his mother.
here's the thing. You're like, there's this nameless, faceless type of comment, and it's just written
words. But I'm a guy.
But you're
I'm a guy,
all
so
this stuff
so here's it does matter. So here's what happened though. So he was very protective of you, except when some woman called me autistic or something like that. Then he got protective of me. Then he says,
that's
not nice to say. Exactly, that's very nice. When the full moon comes in, we'll jump back to this, but right when the full moon comes in Libra, it'll be about being nice and caring in a very protective, assertive way and taking action, Now,
what date was that again? I'm trying to remember. I just made the monthly videos. But
yeah. So it's when the moon's not, so we'll get into that. You're not a fan of Freud. You like Carl Jung.
On the 12th.
You named your university. You did not name your university Oedipal University. You named Synchronicity University. I think Oedipal University would have had a nice ring to it, but
Synchronicity Web TV.
You're like Carl Jung instead of Freud. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but I like Freud too. He's very interesting.
Right. Yeah. He's very interesting. Yeah.
Gave me lots of insights.
Especially with Mars and Cancer, he can accept. You have to probe into your mother issues out there. So. The thing is, Mercury and Jupiter are in each other's signs.
Oh, yes. That's called mutual reception.
Mutual reception. So there's this vibe going back and forth between Pisces and Gemini. the hands and the feet, the lungs and the feet. The hands and lungs are Gemini, and Pisces is the feet. So it's sort of, and Venus is also in Pisces. So foot massages, really, really important right now.
That's
and
why he had his foot in the thumbnail.
Yeah, that's why I have my foot in
that's why.
Saturn in Pisces tends to be its plantar flexion, where the foot sort of comes down. But there's always a lot of different ways to get your hands on your feet and rearrange it. So, you know, some people have mother issues, and if they have foot fetishes, that's fine. It's you know, if they want to fantasize about you and giving you a foot massage.
Don't say that. Okay, I want to edit that out.
No, that's not. That's
don't
fine.
even say that, please.
No, it's look.
Excuse me.
You have to hold on. We can edit it out. We can.
Okay,
but hold on.
Listen. I have Saturn in the first house. Whatever I do, it has to be respectful, according to my mom and my dad. And so...
No, because it's respectful because it's other people, because you have Saturn in your first house, but it's ruling your seventh house. So you need other people. It's your own fears and your own protection of your own self. So when Mars is going to come up on your Saturn now, it's all about like protecting. It's like, oh, I have to protect myself, and other people have to respect me.
Yes.
But we're talking about Saturn in Pisces.
Okay.
And Mars in Cancer. This is not about you, Nadiya.
Don't even use the F word around me.
What F word?
Fantasize.
Fantasize.
Don't use that word around
me. We're talking about Neptune's in Aries, but look.
Nobody has permission to do that out there.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Mercury and Venus are conjunct in Pisces.
Just for my mom and my dad. Okay.
Yeah, all right.
They wouldn't appreciate it.
But look, there's messages and there's signs everywhere, and some messages are just messages. You know, with Gemini and Pisces, sometimes we want to absorb every message. Every message doesn't necessarily have meaning. Some of it is just there to sort of like, okay, it's there, just letting you know that you're in the vibe, you're in the groove. But it doesn't mean you have to absorb it. You only want to connect with things that are spiritual. Because I have my third house in Pisces, which is
props.
my third house, well, not props. Its third house is short trips. So I have my third house in Pisces, and it's my local neighborhood. And third house is at the end of Pisces for me. And Venus and Mercury and Saturn are transiting into my third house. So I was walking around my neighborhood in the Philadelphia area, and I came across
in the house.
I came across what is this?
Look at this.
Somebody was giving away free stuff.
Did you ever see the movie Red Lantern?
No.
It's a Chinese movie.
So it has to do with people with foot fetishes?
Yeah, well, it has to do with foot massages. Well, there's an important symbolism of foot massages.
Well, you banged your foot before the video.
That's true, I did.
So maybe should you want, for your viewers and fans out there, you don't want to partake in using this? I don't know how this works.
I'll use it on my hands on camera.
Well, it's just the hands and the feet. But do you know how to use this?
Yeah, you just like sort of put your feet on that and you go like that.
Is that how it works? But you don't want to demonstrate on camera.
I'm not demonstrating that on camera.
All right. Well, I'm saying my neighbors have beautiful feet, and because because Mercury and Venus are in my third house now in Pisces, so I accept that my neighbors have beautiful feet, and they're worthy. You know, their feet are worthy of being massaged, and fantasized about. It's not my thing per se, but you know, this is the transit, and there were two things. I had a choice. They had a foot. We had this foot massager thing, you know, which is just, you know. You can, I don't know, should I demonstrate? See that.
Well, if you are trying to demonstrate.
Well, I have my Beatles socks
Just be careful. Oh, he has Beatles socks, does he?
My Beatles.
Look at that.
So, and I got my Beatles shirt anyway.
Yeah, he does.
So,
I got Bad Bunny and Don Omar and Shakira shirts.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
As your brother Philippe would
That's
say.
what my brother says, yeah.
I
don't know what that is.
So, but there was a choice. So you had some incense sticks, and they had...
Oh, and I brought a Daddy Yankee tank shirt also.
Yeah?
Like to Mexico, to my travels. But it's like pajamas.
Right. Okay. I have faith in you that will get you through the night. I don't know.
I know. I have a Daddy Yankee pillow, but I don't have it with me because I left it with Yuriria the last time I was in Mexico.
Right.
And then every time I've seen her since I came back, she forgets to bring it. I think that she's holding on to it. Like, quite literally, she's probably holding on to that Daddy Yankee pillow.
All right, so back to feet.
And in Canada, I have a blanket. Did you know that?
Right. Does Daddy Yankee have a foot
Daddy
fetish?
Yankee.
Would you let him massage your feet? Would you let him massage your feet?
Well, he's got lots of Aquarian vibes.
That's calves.
Yeah.
Calves and ankles. So.
Well, he's got Venus in Aries.
All right. There's the visual.
Yeah.
Is Neptune going to go over? Well, we'll get into that.
Yes, at 1 degree. At 1 degree. That's
Saturn and Neptune.
Yeah.
They're going to go. It's like they're going to go back into Pisces, both of them, by like October. But by February next year, right before Valentine's Day, February 13th, there's going to be this Aquarius Aries thing because there'll be a mutual reception. Mars will be in Aquarius, and Saturn will be in Aries. So when they both go in, there will be a strong being part of the collective and being very dominant. But that's next year. So we're still talking about.
So we'll see what happens with Daddy.
So we're still talking about foot fetishes.
He's on a path of evolution of his own.
Our feet are evolving.
Well, with me, all roads lead to Daddy Yankee. Just like with you, all roads lead to feet, don't they?
No, the Beatles, which
the
is
Beatles.
People that actually have talent. Anyway, so move on from something. Anyway,
let me get my Shakira glass. Look, I have a Shakira glass.
Yeah.
Because I went to the Shakira concert here.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to get I went to a concert too. We're going to get into that in a second.
Okay.
So, so we were talking about. So when I found it, I also found some incense sticks.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, well, should I take both the foot thing and the incense sticks? And I Googled it, and it says they're not good for your lungs, these incense sticks. Now, look, some people, I'm not here to lecture you on anything. I mean, if Jupiter, Sagittarius is much more of a lecturing sign.
Yeah,
Jupiter does want to give advice. So, and it is good for moving on from things. So if you are having issues with your lungs, whether it's smoking, whatever it is, this is the time to make a change and move on if it's something that you feel that you're called to do at this time.
However, I'm Canadian and I'm required to vape by law.
Oh.
It is part of Canadian identity.
Yeah, all right.
Vaping. Yeah, we have very high quality.
Yeah. Well, it's required to be a Maple Leafs fan also. You don't root for the Maple Leafs.
No,
I don't know.
Well, I don't.
And you don't eat poutine.
No,
poutine, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a bad
You do like Tim Hortons, so that's
true, yeah.
And
they have Tim Hortons in Ciudad de Mexico.
And you're not a fan of the Guess Who?
They have Tim Hortons here in Mexico City.
Do they really?
They have many.
Tim Horton played for the Maple Leafs. And he get
oh, yeah, that's right, he did.
Killed him because he drank too much and got in a car accident. Anyway.
So sad.
I think he was a Capricorn, Tim Horton. I could be wrong. People want to check that out at home.
They can look that up and let us know in the comments.
Right. So, but moving on from, if you want to do something good for you, if you want to move on from something, especially for your lungs, this is the time to do it. Now, the thing with Gemini is you can't just stop that restless energy. You're always going to have to keep your hands and lungs engaged. You're just going to have to move on from something to find something new to distract you, to engage in with your lungs and your hands. But every 12 years, when Jupiter enters a sign again, that was in 12 years previously, it's a time to do something new and move on from something and evolve. So Jupiter is in Gemini until when? Like June?
June
9th. So between now and June, if you want to...
2025.
There are a lot of different ideas out there. If you want to quit smoking or move on from smoking, this is the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that. So we are in Mexico now. The Mexican Beatles. What are you doing? The Mexican Beatles. I got my Beatles Mexican poncho here.
Something fell, but that's okay. Oh my goodness! Where did you get that? Did you bring that here?
No, I bought it. You
bought it here?
I bought it on the street.
Oh my goodness!
Put this on, maybe.
Okay, be careful of the mic.
Okay.
This is awesome. I am so excited about this for you.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, look at that. The Beatles. Look at that.
So, but the Mexican
wonderful.
Beatles.
Now, you got this here?
Yeah.
And look on the back, it says "got back."
It says "get back."
Get back. No, it says "got back."
Did it say "got back"? Oh, it was Paul was doing a tour.
Yeah. Got back. Mexico 2024.
Yeah, it was Paul McCartney.
Was he here?
He was here. He was giving Daddy Yankee lessons on how to play music properly. And
Daddy Yankee had retired by then. So
yeah, because he was afraid of the competition. Because he knew Neptune was coming in Aries, and he knew Paul McCartney he didn't want to lose to an 85-year-old or Paul is like 80. He's 80.
How about there's room for everybody? There's no winners or.
Okay, so here's the thing with Jupiter and Gemini, right? Okay. And I have Jupiter and Libra, so it's a very binary thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's either the Beatles or not the Beatles. That's how I view everything in life.
Okay.
I view it's either music is the Beatles or it's not the Beatles. But Gemini is a very non-binary sign where there's different shades of everything. There's room for everybody. But I just view for things in that kind of Libra way. Okay, this is the Beatles. I understand this. This is not the Beatles. I have to understand two references, but in a very binary way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just how I understand things. And Venus and Libra also, even though a lot of Scorpion.
But me, I'm so much about nuance.
Right, nuance. Well, I think you have some Gemini. You have some Gemini.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, I have Mars and Gemini. I have a grand trine in air.
Right, trine.
Pluto, Mars, Sun.
Well, that's the one thing. Yeah. So anyway, so back to it. So the Mexican Beatles. I saw a concert here. I saw a concert.
Oh right.
Called Dugs, which they were the first.
That's why he came. He arrived early.
And they were the first
smog.
Big smog. So that's the other thing. The lungs. It's important. The pollution here.
That's
the air quality in Mexico sucks.
Now, did you get them to sign anything?
No, I got them to sign a dollar bill because I didn't have my record. I got them to sign an American dollar bill.
Did you speak to them in English?
Yeah, because he knows English because the first album was in. Anyway, this is smog. So smog is indicative of Mexico City, and it's not really great for your lungs. Every day I look on the phone, it says air quality poor. That's what it says. So that's the deal with that. So I found this at the record at a record shop outside, and I was looking for Dugs, and I found it. But I went back looking for more Dugs, and the guy was holding another record, and I said, "Well, what is this?" And it says,
"Oh my God,
Nadiya singing." I
had no idea.
And he was holding this. This was the guy. I went back looking for more. He said, "Come back. I'll have more Dugs tomorrow." And he didn't have it, but he had this in his hand.
Oh.
So when we talk about Gemini, Jupiter being signs,
my mom and I used to watch The Young and the Restless when I was a little girl.
So this is The Young and the Restless in Espanol. And when I think of Young and Restless in Espanol, you think of Nadiya, right? You're young and restless in Espanol.
In Espanol.
And not only that, this perfectly describes Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Gemini.
And did you know that Mary J. Blige used a sample of this song for her song, Broken Heart Again, Another Lesson Learned?
No, I did not
Better know your friends, or else you will get burned.
No, I was too busy listening to Dugs and the Beatles too.
I can count on me and I'll be fine.
But here's the thing. Jupiter in Gemini, it's about...
She's doing ballet.
Right. So Jupiter in Gemini is about reaching forward and flexing your hips like this. Yeah. Reaching forward. So that's what she's sort of doing with that.
Yeah.
But Saturn in Pisces, can you see? Saturn in Pisces is all about plantar flexion of the feet and doing that ballet, that the dancer's toe. And that is exactly what she's doing here. So this is the Jupiter in Gemini and Saturn in Pisces motion. And this is...
And it says in Spanish on the back,
Spanish.
Tema de Nadiya.
Yeah, Tema de Nadiya. You're young and restless in Spanish.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Yeah, this is exciting. So it was a sign. And the guy was just holding that.
Sign.
I went there looking for more Dugs records. And he just happened to be holding that. And I got it for how many?
Very cool.
I don't know how many pesos did he? I mean, 100 pesos, I think.
Which is like $5.
Yeah, so you can buy me some guacamole later.
Yeah.
A couple things of guacamole.
Oh, isn't that exciting?
Guacamole is cheaper in Mexico than it is in the United States.
That makes sense.
There was overpriced guacamole appetizers at these,
fancy dancy places. Yeah. But here it's like for everybody.
Yeah.
It's for the masses.
For the masses?
For the masses, by the masses. Now, I might want to sit down.
Oh, you do?
I might, but no. Do what you got to do.
Why don't you sit down here and I'll give you a foot massage?
I can get a stool.
No? One of the things. You sit here.
No.
I have this.
No.
Oh, what am I doing?
No. Okay, yeah. See, you're tall. You got to stay in your seat.
Yeah.
But let me go get a stool. I'm over here, and the mic is still on me.
I'll look at my notes in the meantime.
Well, no, you can keep talking.
You talk to the camera?
Yeah.
The most important thing is the Beatles is better than astrology, in my opinion. And the reason the Beatles, I've always thought of Beatles, because people make the stars. People always like, oh, what's your chart? And I think, well, the Beatles have any particular place? Like, no, they made the stars. And that's the thing when the difference between Pisces and Aries. Like lots of people in astrology with Neptune and Pisces, like, oh, I'm just absorbing it all. I just have to accept this is what the stars want for me. With Neptune and Aries, you start that conversation with the stars. The stars have their energy there, sure, but you dictate the way that energy is used. So basically, you're in charge of your own astrology and your own image. And that's what's important when Neptune goes into Aries. We were talking last night about scars And because Aries is very visual, it's always wants to create a great first impression about image as far as how things look. You're talking about like, well, you know, can we create a good image? You know, can we put like a tattoo over our scars? And that's one way to do it, but I don't think that's the way to go. You know, when you have scars, it means you live life in a very direct way. And that's a sexy, aggressive, in-your-face thing. I mean, that is image enough, instead of trying to camouflage that. And so like, oh, we have to make this perfect. No, 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 no. You have to be like, it's a very direct, in-your-face experience, scars are. And people dig that image when they sort of see what you've been through. They see you've attacked life, especially when Saturn and Neptune are both in Aries. They want to sort of see that you attacked life. You don't have to camouflage that with something like, oh, it has. I mean, you can. That's one way to do it, but in a more direct, authentic way, it's just like, yeah, this is me. You know, this is what I've gone through. This is in your face. This is real. This is raw. There's the rawness of Aries, and that's what's important when Saturn and Neptune and Aries sort of you deal with that in a very, very direct way. Like I don't have any tattoos. Now my parents said like, oh, you know, we don't get tattoos so you don't look good. You make a bad first impression, right? But you can't do things because your parents tell you that, because that's why people rebel, because they want to be in charge of their own body. And so if someone else tells someone that like, this is what you should do with your body, with your image of your body, they're going to say, no, I'm in charge of my body. And they will go out of their way to make a statement. Because like, no, just to show that they're in charge. So the reason I don't have the tattoos are more personal for me, you know, because for my own scorpionic reasons, I don't want to sort of get into it right now, but like I had to do things for me, even though my parents said something, they said it for different reasons. So it's not a thing like, well, you don't always have to rebel against your parents. You could still end up at the same result, but you do have to do it for your own sake and for your own reason, you know. So you have to sort of accept who you are and then dictate your own image. So, would you want to jump in?
I just wanted to say, I just realized that the light is not plugged in. So it's running on battery. And it's possible while we are speaking, the light could go out.
Okay, that's fine.
But I should really get the
But that's the Aries, this division thing. Then you have to reset the image. That's all about resetting the light. That's what Neptune and Aries and Saturn is about. It's hitting the reset button on the optics to take charge. So you have to accept, like, okay, first you have to accept their problems, accept what the problem is, when Saturn and Neptune go back into Pisces later on this year, and then start again. And that's what that's all about. So you want to get the cable now? Yes.
Why don't you keep going? Talk about something. What else is there fascinating to talk about? Was there something else?
We'll stick on the topic a bit about. So we had a party the other day. With astrologers came over. Yuri came over. Yuridia came over.
And Ursula, one of my teachers, Anna.
And I want to make
my team members that are not normally on camera. Gilbert.
You can donate money to Gilbert. Do you want to promote Gilbert's charity?
Well, Gilbert, he's going on a mission soon.
He's going on a mission. So if any people are religious.
He does like a lot of charity work, but he does good work.
If anybody's into mission work, they could donate money to Gilbert and his charity name.
And Ali was here and Miguel were here.
Miguel was here.
Now, Ida is the other team member who could not make
she's
it.
in the Yucatan.
And we were very, very sad without her. Yeah.
But it was a cool vibe.
It was a very nice
But
vibe.
I want to make a good impression on everybody. We're talking about making that good first impression, for being image conscious of Neptune and Aries, making a good first impression immediately. Looking right into the camera directly and making a good first impression. And I had coco mole on my pants. I had schmutz. I had coco mole. It was right on the crotch of my pants. And I was like, oh, I just absorbed this, you know. So the Pisces planet just sort of fell onto me.
Coco mole.
Coco mole, the red mole sauce, you know, they put on the pollo with the chicken enchiladas, you know, the red sauce. The coco mole sauce.
Okay.
So I thought, well, this is not good. And Yuri said, no, just accept it's fine. Nobody's going to, when they first meet you, they're not going to be staring at the crotch of your pants, you know. I mean, you know, you're guys, people.
Unfortunately, right? For you,
yeah. So, but I had a new pair of jeans. I said, you know what? I put the new pair of jeans on. I took off the coco mole pants. I accepted, like, you know what? Yeah, okay, I'm a slob. I'm a mess. You know, we've eaten together. I get everything all over the place. But I said, I had a new pair of jeans. I accepted I'm a mess. And then I get to read, and I put on a new pair of pants. And people thought I looked sharp, and they thought I was together. They didn't realize, you know, how much of a Pisces when I eat things, you know, like a slobber and things like that. So that's the important thing, is really taking charge of your image and realizing. And if you're frustrated with astrology, you're like, oh, you know, the way the stars are, I just have to absorb all these problems. It's just the way it is. What can I do about it? Just to accept it. No. When Saturn goes in Aries, you can take charge of that. You can accept that you're having issues with your chart and some of the obstacles that you have to work through. That's great. Accept that you have those obstacles. That's the important thing when we go from Pisces to Aries. You can't work on things and start anew and work through problems and approach things in a very proactive way until you accept that you actually do have a problem. So people say, I'm going to tackle problems. Well, you can't tackle a problem unless you accept you have a problem. And that's the most important thing as you go from Pisces to Aries and back again. You know, so that is something
very special.
Very special. So you want to talk about Mars in moving forward in Leo. Eventually it's going to go back into Leo, where it was in December. It was in like January 9th or something like that.
Yeah, it was like around the 6th or 9 or something.
So people with planets in early Leo, it's like, okay.
Or early fixed signs.
Early fixed signs.
Which is Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio.
Yeah, and if they were feeling it in early December, they're going to have to revisit those themes again in a very dramatic way. So I don't, who's at 6? Who's Mars at 6 Leo? Oh, Scott Thompson, your buddy from...
Okay, Scott Thompson from the Kids in the Hall.
Kid in the Hall, yeah.
Now, back in the day, I would see him around the clubs and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, this is a lot of years ago.
It's a lot of years.
This is like before my Saturn return.
Yeah,
it was like before my Saturn return in downtown Toronto.
And
he would be enjoying the club scene out there.
Right, and he was flirting with you. And
well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, you were flirting.
I was flirting with him,
but here's the thing, though. There's things in your chart. You have like opposition. There's like things. I was
flirting with him because he was completely safe. Because there was no way that he was.
Yes, but he has Venus and Mars at 6 and 7, like Leo-ish, and they're making strong aspects to your chart. And you thought, like,
but he's a lovely person.
He's a lovely person. You thought, like, well, he just likes twinks. That's why he's not into you. But it's also the astrology of it. So sometimes people wonder, well, is it just the astrology why we're not getting along, the oppositions, or they just
got along? He was a lovely person.
Yeah.
But I am like, whatever a twink is, I'm like the complete opposite.
But you were not famous yet, right? So Saturn, it's all about the entertainment aspect. Now you're big time, and he's doing a tour. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and he's doing a tour.
And he's doing a tour in Philadelphia. I'm thinking that I should go to him.
Go to Philadelphia.
I think I should go to him and say, hey, listen, Scott Thompson, you know, you wouldn't flirt, you wouldn't make, you know, eyes or do can we say you wouldn't kiss my friend googly eyes or make kissy stuff towards Nadiya back in the day.
Yeah.
But she's famous now. And your career, she's more famous than you. Your career's in the downhill, and you have Venus and Mars.
Oh my God.
He has Venus and Mars in Leo. So if he wants to promote, what he's doing. So look, come on Nadiya's channel, and you could sort of
Scott Thompson, come on my channel.
Yeah. When he has his Mars return,
we can read his chart together.
We can read his chart together.
Now, side note, since he's coming to Philly, let me just say, last year, who was out in Philly? Who was coming to Philly? Who came to Philly? And I didn't have a chance to go. Jodeci was in Philly, and I wasn't.
I know Joe DiMaggio. I don't know.
You don't know who Jodeci is?
No.
Where have you been?
After 1970, I listened to some 90s British music. We're going to go see, because the Beatles weren't together when I was growing up, so I had to listen to Oasis. I'm going to see Oasis.
Oh yes, we are going to see Oasis in August
in Toronto.
Now
we might have an extra ticket.
Your motivation is you're a fan of Oasis.
Yeah.
My motivation is revenge, which is like the worst motivation to go see a band ever, because the last person I seriously dated was a big fan of Oasis.
Yeah. Good taste in music.
We got VIP tickets.
Yeah.
We have tickets right in the front, and I was like, oh yes, let me be on social media. I should cut that out though, right?
Well, if you want, but we might have an extra ticket. So if someone wants to,
wants us to hook them up.
Yeah,
we can figure that out.
Oh no! Here's the thing. This is important.
In August,
if anybody in the Beatles circle, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr.
But don't get me wrong. I'm excited about Oasis, and I do know that Wonderwall song, so I think I'm going to have fun with you.
And Live Forever and Champagne Supernova.
Okay, if you say so.
So
who were you saying? Paul McCartney?
So Paul McCartney, or if anybody is in Oasis' circle, Noel Gallagher, Liam Gallagher is watching this video, I will read their chart for free. Free of charge. So reach out to them.
If you know anybody from Jodeci, Devante, and there was somebody else, something Swing. I think it was Devante Swing.
Yeah.
And there was Casey and JoJo.
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Casey and JoJo.
Do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight.
No, they were different.
They were part of the whole Miami scene in the mid-70s.
You missed so much if you were not around.
I was around. I was listening to music.
That period of time in the 90s.
Yeah, I was around.
When hip-hop and R&B became a singular thing.
I was waiting for someone to sort of like pay tribute to the Beatles like Oasis did. And the Charlatans did, and Stone Roses did, and I did the chart of Tim Burgess from the Charlatans.
I don't know what that is.
Exactly. So you missed so much. And if you didn't listen to much music, that was the channel in Canada.
Music, yeah, I used to watch much music.
And they were always like interviewing Oasis and the Charlatans and the Lives.
I would go to where Much Music was to see certain people, and there I remember I met Wyclef Jean.
Wyclef Jean. What about Jean Gomez? What's the Jean Gomeski? Was he the guy that got in trouble? He's the Gemini guy that was too handsy.
I don't know, but I know that Wyclef Jean, the nicest person.
That's cool.
The nicest energy, just a beautiful soul.
Yeah, no, it's cool when you meet your heroes and they turn out to be
lovely people
and accessible, and they're interested. Like so, I said, I'm a big Charlatans fan, and when I met Tim Burgess after the show, and I said, "Hey, can I do your chart?" And he was a Gemini. He's like, "Yeah, sure," and it was a real thrill for me, to do the chart of like one of my musical heroes. I mean, most of my musical heroes are from the '60s, but there are a handful of bands in the 90s that I liked because they paid homage to the great music from the 60s, and that were like part of my generation. So like I was sort of vibing with that, like in a very contemporary way. And Oasis is not really accessible because they're such huge stars. But the Charlatans were accessible after the show, and I was able to talk with Tim, who's a cool Gemini, and so that was a thrill for me. Mm-hmm. So Mars goes into Leo. So people like to talk. I'm not the political of an astrologer. The video before this, I talked a little bit about politics, but I tend to be very philosophical. Trump is always a big topic, right? And what he's doing as it relates to foreign policy. So his ninth house cusp is in Aries, which is the foreign culture and sort of competitive thing there. So what you want to look for is when he has this Mars return. And so his Mars is in around 26 Leo. So people that, follow, what Trump's doing, how is he going to act towards different countries and things like that. Pay attention in early June when he has his Mars return, because that'll dictate some of the stuff towards foreign policy. Some of the unusual stuff, like, he's doing some unusual things towards his, wants to be sort of possessive towards different cultures. Well, Uranus had been transiting his ninth house until like just a few days ago, I think, until like just a week ago. So Uranus has finally left Trump's ninth house. It's now in his 10th. So that's something that's noticeable. Uranus has been in his ninth house for a while. So now that's in his 10th. Saturn will eventually go into his ninth towards the end of his this voyager term. So that's, not saying it's right or wrong, but just something as you follow the news as it relates to, because America usually gets the most publicity in the world, and their attitudes towards different cultures and how they want to incorporate their power or their influence over different cultures. And he's a leader of America who's voted in. Whether people see him as a leader or not, that's forgettable. But what's his attitude towards ninth house stuff, right? So when he has his Mars return, which happens every 2 years, in Leo, that's going to be happening. So pay attention to that. If there's any sort of drama as far as how he wants to sort of take action towards how he different cultures, things like that. So that's something to pay attention to. If there's anything else I wanted to, do you want to say anything else? I sort of check my notes.
I'm enjoying talking to you.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about?
No, I mean, we talked about the full moon a bit coming up in Libra.
And that is on the 12th of April.
Right.
I spoke about that in the monthly horoscopes for everybody out there, but the individual horoscopes, which should be up by the time this is up.
Yeah.
I'll put this up soon.
Yeah, I mean, with that it's going to be a T-square kind of. Well, not kind of, it is, because you're going to have Mars in late Cancer, the Sun in late Aries, and the Moon in late Libra. But the Moon in Libra will be ruling and squaring the Mars in Cancer, and because the Mars will be in the Moon Sun, and the Mars in Cancer will be ruling and squaring the Sun in Aries. So it's like trying to be nice and caring, but like having to like get on it. Like don't be so wishy-washy or wishy-washy, the right word, or so indecisive. Or it's like, look, yes, be nice and caring, but take action. And I think I talked in my video, because Libra's all about hydration, right? You always have to sort of rehydrate. So like if you, and it's cancer, it's the stomach and it's the breast. So like I said, look, if I see somebody and if I notice someone's like breasts are really sweaty, I don't say, oh, your breasts are really sweaty. Can I get you a glass of water? Like, no, if I see your breasts are sweaty, just bloody get the glass of water. Just do it. Be proactive and like a star, take action.
You don't need to comment on it, especially if it's not
just do it.
Relationship.
Well, no, it's not, you don't need to comment on it. Just do it. That's the point.
Just present some water to somebody who might.
Right. Don't say like, oh, well, can I get you this? Like, no, if you notice somebody needs to rehydrate, be nice and caring, but be very proactive. Be one step ahead.
Okay.
So it's like, if you just like, well, should I do this? Should I like, no, be nice and caring, but then like, by just doing it. Also, Libra's also the kidneys stuff was the kidneys as far as hydration, but also as far as protein and things like that. So, protein, if protein sits really heavy in your stomach, make sure you hydrate and things like that. You do need protein. It's good for your brain and things like that to function. That's sort of like the Libra Aries thing. But even though protein is good for your brain to function, sometimes it sits really heavy in your stomach. So you're going to have to sort of balance that. That's sort of the Libra, Cancer, Aries vibe and things of that nature. So,
well, I'm just still thinking that maybe 6 degrees of separation, I might be able to do a chart reading for one of the people from Jodeci.
Yeah.
That gets me very happy to think about that possibility. Yeah, I don't know why I never put it out there before.
Well, if I can do a chart for anybody from Oasis or anybody from the Britpop scene in the 90s, Oasis, The Verve, anybody from Richard Ashcroft, the Tim Burgess before, the Charlatans, the Stone Roses, Ian Brown. Ian Brown married a Mexican woman. And the person who's running your Airbnb here, she knew that. So we were talking about the Stone Roses.
Okay.
Ian Brown, John Squire, Liam, or Noel, any of the two Beatles left, Ringo, Paul, their kids, Sean, Julian. Look, anybody that's from the 60s, British music, but also anybody, any members, I don't know, there's only one member of the Temptations left, Motown, Otis, who's the Scorpio's the only one left. He's Motown, Stax, anything 60s,
well, there
British.
You go. There's your
list. But especially the 90s music, 90s British music, I was never the biggest radio head fan, but like, yeah, sure, whatever.
And of course, anybody in reggaeton.
So,
yes.
But it's good. So this is
so
the
we're
thing.
putting our wish list out.
But this is the thing. This is Jupiter and Gemini, right? Because it's about versatility, and so it's about like I'm covering my bases and you're covering your bases. With Jupiter and Gemini. So between us, where we can we have our own we have our own perspective, but between us, we're like I'm getting this side of the whole spectrum and you're getting the other side of the whole spectrum. So that's the Jupiter and Gemini. It's the panoramic viewpoint of trying to touch every little thing. And that's the thing right now with Jupiter ruling that this, I've been telling people, when I do readings for them, when Jupiter in Gemini ruling, the Saturn and Pisces stuff, it's like people want to absorb so much, but there's so many different things to take from. And it's like, I can't sort of get everything. So, if you have someone like you can cast your net and I'll cast my net, and between two of us, then we can sort of get the whole thing and then take what comes to us.
Any more prompts to share?
I don't know. I did the foot massage thing. The Dugs.
The Dugs.
We got the other band was in Mexico, La Revolución de Emiliano Zapata. Did one of the first big hits called Nasty.
La Revolución de Emiliano Zapata.
They actually had a hit that broke through internationally called Nasty Sex. And but it wasn't about nasty. It was about not having it, but being nice to people during sex. Like don't be mean.
Ciudad Perdida.
He's Emiliano Zapata is a famous person, the famous but that's what they named. So
isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
There's all these people on the back.
And so they had the other Mexican thing was this Onda movement.
He loves festivals and street markets and things.
The art movement.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Come to show that.
So Onda was a movement in the late 60s in Mexico. Mexico was very protective of the way trying to, how people, they were very controlling of how they want music and art to be expressed. And
beautiful.
and eventually the people in Mexico, the kids in Mexico say, no, we want to embrace American art, music, and culture, and rebel against the authorities, and that was called the Onda movement, the Onda movement, and this is a compilation of some of the Onda movement as far as musical, but it was also an art movement. So
con sonido de plata.
So that's part of just with Pisces and Gemini, you have to sort of embrace everything and don't be judgmental. Like even though I think the Beatles are the greatest, if Jodeci wants to come on, yeah, I'll accept whatever. Anybody that wants to come and get the word out, I'll accept. Anybody wants to get a reading from me. Since I do readings under your brand or whatever.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. And that reminds me, you can get readings from either me or Andy of Wise Ass Astrology over on my website.
But I try to be respectful.
Just go click consultations and then those options will come up. So right now it's me and Andy there. I'm hoping that a couple other my friends are going to join as well. Yeah. Right. So people can have lots of options, like options in terms of who will read them, in terms of price points and all of that.
When Saturn goes in Aries, it's kind of competitive,
You think so? No.
Who's the best astrologer?
No. I think everybody can be the greatest with Saturn in Aries.
Everybody thinks I'm the greatest. Everybody's so blinders, like I'm the
best. But the best isn't who says they're the best.
It's going to be going over, it's going to, no, if you know, you know.
Exactly. The best is the best you can be, I think.
If you know, it's going to be opposing my Saturn and Jupiter.
And if you have to say you're the best, then you really don't.
Well, it depends. Some people have to say it. Like sometimes if you know it. Like I believe, I remember the last video you said, oh, Andy's right up there with all these famous astrologers.
Yeah.
I said, what do you mean right up there? I'm better than all these famous astrologers. I really believe that. Like, it's not like me. It doesn't make me feel better. Like I actually, but it's like I feel like a responsibility.
But humility is a virtue, Andy.
No, but it's if you know, you know. It's
you know.
It's I don't feel. It doesn't make me feel better. It just feels like I don't. But that's just like what I'm not really thrilled about. Astrology. It's like it's like all right. This is what I've stumbled into. It's like all right, but everybody's beautiful in their own way, and everybody is their own, and that's what you learn from astrology.
That's a song, isn't it?
Everybody has their own chart, and everybody has their own strengths and their own things that they can evolve with. So that you can learn from people. I mean, I don't learn from other astrologers. That's why I say I'm not very high on the whole astrology. When I go to these conferences, I have really little interest in what most of the astrologers have to say, honestly. I like doing charts. I like seeing people and talking to people and observing them. I mean, that's like real experiences. So that's great. People, anytime people want to charts, like, yeah, sure, I'll look at your chart. It's not projecting your own stuff onto other people.
It's so fascinating. My dear friend, Michael Luton, before he passed away, he was like constantly saying to me, Nadiya, you got to interview the celebrities. You got to get the celebrities.
Well, you're interviewing me.
And I'm interviewing you now.
So I am the celebrity.
He'd be very proud of me one day.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm celebrity in my own mind.
And if you're a celebrity out there,
if you're a celebrity,
let us interview you. Yeah. Or let me interview you. Or let us look at your chart. But
if it can't be too controversial, you don't want the curating. You don't want to like divide your fan base,
What do you mean?
Well, like if we start interviewing Kanye.
We're not doing that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Kanye.
He's really famous. Look, you got your curating side.
He's a bit of a mess right now. So,
so certain
have you looked at his chart?
I looked at his chart. So here's the deal with Kanye. I looked at his chart.
Oh, gosh.
So he's got this Gemini, and he's got he got Venus and Mars. I'm thinking Mercury in Taurus. He's a lot of Taurus in the Gemini.
I'm not trying to be divisive or anything.
So he values. So here's the thing with Taurus energy, right?
Why spread hate?
He's like Gemini stuff opposing his Neptune and Sag. But here's the thing: he wants to get everything from a lot of different places, but he values all this random stuff too much. So whenever you have Mercury in Taurus, information has value. It does have value. Beauty has value. But if you just listen to the choir and you just listen to specific because you want something to gratify your own perspective, then you end up stuck. You don't evolve. So that's always the thing with Taurus energy is, yes, information, especially Mercury, information has value. But if you don't actually value information, if you're just using it to please yourself from a hedonistic purpose and just to gratify you and just to sort of hear things that just reaffirm what you already are comfortable with, what you already like, then that's the information that he spreads around. So he's kind of stuck. He really doesn't. Doesn't really evolve past. He takes a lot of information out there from a lot of different places. The Gemini stuff, I'm everywhere, but he's just seeking every little corner that just reaffirms his own, what he wants to hear, instead of realizing, okay, there's all these different things to challenge me, and all this information has value, not just to reaffirm.
You know, Scott M. Peck in The Road Less Traveled, he says, love means telling the truth. When someone loves you, they tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And they'll call you on your stuff when they know that you can be better.
Right.
And when you only have people around you who tell you what you want to hear instead of tell you the truth, it means that you have a lack of love in your life.
Yeah.
Like real love. That's why.
Well, because you're insecure, you need that constant affirmation because you're scared of being challenged.
And I remember when he first, you know, started going off the deep end with all this hateful stuff. And I remember he would say, I'm a billionaire. And then he'd say something hateful. It's like, he was almost like saying, I can say it and my opinion is more valid because I have money, is what he was saying. And I remember looking at that and thinking like, oh, and I remember how the people around him, when the press would ask him something, you know, challenging, and the people around him would like be like, no, what? They'd tell him what he wanted to hear. And I just thought, oh my God.
Well, that's so what we have to watch as Uranus makes its last run in Taurus, because it's all about value and worth. So he says he values like I'm worth, I'm worth more than you. Not necessarily monetarily, it doesn't have to be monetarily. It's just like I'm worth more than you. I have more value than you. So, you know, whatever I say, I'm always going to be relevant. And to the point of being ignorant sometimes. And you don't even realize when you're not relevant anymore, and when you're not hip, and when you're not attuned to all different perspectives and things like that. And I think it's his sun opposing Neptune in Sag.
That makes sense.
He's something in Gemini opposing Neptune in Sag. So he wants to sort of be, he was the image of being a know-it-all, but his image of being a know-it-all is only as good as really being plugged into everything, no matter unconditionally. And that's, to finish up, that's really the thing with Jupiter and Gemini and Saturn and Pisces. Saturn and Pisces can accept things unconditionally, but you know, you want to be plugged into everything, but then you got to accept the facts unconditionally. You got to accept the facts. You can't just be plugged into everything just for the sake of distracting yourself. Like once you come across all those different ideas, then you have to accept like, okay, what stuff is just hearsay? What stuff is just gossip? What stuff is just things just to distract people? What stuff? But can you accept what reality is? And Saturn and Pisces. I mean, when Saturn and Pisces and Neptune and Pisces are conjunct, there's a fantasy, but can you accept reality? Look, it's okay to have, we're talking before about like foot fetish. Like, look, if you want to fantasize about my feet, Nadiya's feet, anybody's celebrity's feet, no.
I told you not to use
hold on. You can accept, but you have to accept what's fantasy and what's reality. So if accepting a fantasy allows you to like accept yourself, that's great. But you also have to accept what reality is. You have to say, okay, this is a fantasy. I can accept this fantasy. I'm using this fantasy to unload some of my stress and things like that. But you also have to accept what reality is. And that's, you know, when Saturn and Neptune go back into Pisces, that's part of it. So, you know, when you tell your viewers, say, look, I know some of you project things onto me. I know some of you fantasize me because I'm here every week. I'm a beautiful, loving person. Okay,
let me just be very clear. They fantasize talking to me. Come on.
Okay.
They fantasize sitting with me, having a mint tea.
That was the early,
yes, and being able to have a conversation and be vulnerable.
Okay, but there's also, and that's vulnerable, and it's the place of vulnerability, and that's fine. But you also have to accept what reality is. So if that fantasy helps them get through the night, that's fine. But
I used to fantasize about Oprah.
Yeah. But you also have to accept, like, that's a fan. What's the fantasy? The fantasies are okay. You can accept. Look, you tell me, look, I will accept. You know, I will allow you to have this fantasy if it helps you. But also, you also need to accept that it's not reality. Also, so fantasies are okay. You can accept fantasies, but you also have to accept what reality is. And with conjunctions, it's very hard to separate the two. You know, people with oppositions in their chart, Neptune oppositions, they're very easily able to separate the two. They can be one thing image and then go out and be something else to sort of break free. But when there are conjunctions in your chart, especially Neptune conjunctions, it can be very difficult to separate fantasy and the other planet. In this case, it's reality. So accept fantasy, great, but also accept what is fantasy and accept what is reality. And that's the important part.
That's maturity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you're doing something where you put love in the world, where you help people find greater peace or love within themselves, you're on the right track. But if you're putting something in the world that you know just because you want to stir hate,
that's sort of the thing when Pisces goes in there.
Even though I can be compassionate and we can psychoanalyze or whatever why people choose to do things like that, but still, it's that's not the.
You have to absorb reality also, and it's about Pisces is about acceptance. That's one thing you can accept. Like, okay, I can accept this is the fantasy because it helps. If the fantasy helps, you have to accept the fantasy because you have to accept something. That's fine, but then you also have to okay, but this is not. I also have to accept my reality because I have issues to work through before you sort of get on. So it's whatever gets you through the night. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's Pisces. It's not a judgmental sign. It really isn't. Whatever fantasy like that, that's okay. Everybody has fantasies. It's okay. See the fantasy, but you also you can't let it cloud your reality, and that's the important part.
And I just want to say also, there's this creator that I really love on YouTube. His name is FD Signifier.
Yeah.
And I was introducing him to you the other day, right? Online. So he's at almost 1 million. He's like just a couple thousand away from 1 million from the time that we're recording this, 1 million subs. And anyways, he has this whole series of videos about Kanye. And it's quite brilliant and very thorough. And so if people want to dive into the different symbolism and the history and the what and the where, and they can do that. But for us,
we can't.
We cannot. No.
Unless he comes on and wants to work through his issues, unless he accepts he has problems with Saturn and Pisces and accepts his delusions, and we can help him, restart himself.
And he wants to.
We can be Dr. Phil for him.
And he's able to see that, maybe
you could be Oprah and I could be Dr. Phil. Yeah, we could relaunch his whole approach. That's the whole thing with Pisces there. First, you have to accept that you have a problem before you relaunch your brand, before you relaunch yourself.
But if Kanye is not available or not willing,
Jodeci.
I'll take Jodeci. I'll take Daddy Yankee.
And I'll take
Don Omar.
And I'll take Paul McCartney. And I'll take
Jawali Randy.
Yeah.
I like them too. Yeah. Baby Miko.
Or Smokey
I really
Robinson,
like her. She's up and coming in reggaeton. I saw her in Argentina. Like, she literally just had her first songs, and I saw her online. I was like, whoa, who's this? She's like the next big thing. I know it. But she's still in the early stages of her career.
And I would just quote Farid, your brother. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, that's what my brother would say.
And you showed him a daddy. What was the story? You showed him a Daddy Yankee.
Yeah. So basically, what happened was after doing my whole. Well, look, it wasn't my Daddy Yankee marathon in Puerto Rico.
Give some background. Your brother's a big death metal.
Yeah,
that's his vibe.
Yeah,
death metal.
He's a death metal guy.
Death metal drummer.
Sepultura, Slipknot, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So anyways, when I went to 5 shows in 2 countries, when Daddy Yankee said, this is my last tour, right? 2022. Yeah. And I went to all these shows. So I remember I went home, and then I was in downtown Toronto, and I called my brother and I said, hey, I'm not far from you. Let me stop by. He's like, okay. And I said, I look like a Daddy Yankee roadie. And he said, I don't know what that is.
With just a straight face.
Just a complete, I don't know what that is. And so then I showed up and I gave him a Daddy Yankee shot glass. Yeah. I was decked out, my Daddy Yankee jacket.
He was totally deadpan. I don't know what that is. Yes.
I have my jacket. Maybe I should get that. Maybe that can be a nice finale for us today. Yeah. So why don't you continue to say something, and I will get my Daddy Yankee jacket that I love so much.
So this is the most important thing as we go from Pisces to Aries and back to Pisces with Saturn and Neptune. Neptune just went into Aries. Saturn's going to go into Aries on May 25th. And they're both going to be there during the summer before they will both be back in Pisces for late fall and early winter. So you have to accept that you have something to work on. People always want to tackle obstacles in life. I have to restart myself, but you can't restart yourself. You can't dive into a problem until you accept that you have a problem to work on. And people talk about Pisces can be escapism. Not so much. You can't really escape it. You have to accept reality. Sometimes you can accept the defense. What's his Daddy Yankee? Yeah. The legendary. Well, how about
Daddy Yankee?
Let's come up with the Beatles. John Paul.
Wait, I don't have my mic with me. I should hold my mic. Okay, I think we are going to wrap up now that the Beatles and Daddy Yankee over here,
Yeah.
but it's all relative, isn't it?
And Mars is in Cancer, and Ringo's a Cancer, so I want to hug myself with the Beatles. Because that's cameras.
With your mic.
Oh.
Let's hope the mic is okay. But let me just say.
You want to sort of pose with a Beatles shot.
And people can see my Daddy Yankee. Look, just because your is bigger,
because the Beatles
doesn't
is bigger.
Mean anything.
It's because the Beatles
It's the motion of the ocean.
The motion of the ocean. The Beatles are longer. Could be.
Well, wherever all these people are we've been talking about today, we wish them well.
Yeah, we
wish them a lot of love.
And just absorb and just surf and be a surfer. You got to surf the waves. Like I talked about this in my video. Mm-hmm. With the Gemini Pisces thing, the wind is blowing in all different directions, the hands, and you just got to grip that surfboard tight and accept respect, and watch my video. I talked about them on my channel, Wisest Astrology, where I talked about Saturn in Pisces. And it's about, you got to allow yourself you've seen all the tricks before, you've seen all the things before, that's why you just got to go with the wind and grip the board tightly and ride the waves. It's really about being a surfer and surf the waves with respect. And that's the most important thing. Well,
thank you for hanging out with me, Andy.
Yes, and thank you for allowing me.
In Mexico City.
Mexico City.
I love Mexico City.
And I don't want to sound like too much of a jerk. I have Mars in Sag in the 12th house. So I have a lot of opinions about it. No, I have a lot of opinions about astrology, and I have a high opinion of myself as an astrologer. And sometimes I got to keep it to myself. It's like,
I feel so much better now that I'm wearing my Daddy Yankee.
Yeah.
Whatever. Life is better.
If you want to accept that fantasy, if you want to accept the fantasy that Daddy Yankee can make his old music again.
Yeah, he's not doing that.
He's making music.
Well, he might. Who knows? He's in a Neptune transit right now, so
he's Gilbert's happy with
he's
him right
figuring
now.
it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, lots of love to everybody out there. Thank you for hanging out with me and Andy.
Yeah.
We always have a lot of fun,
and
we didn't have to pretend we were going to edit anything out this time.
No. I guess we're not going to edit anything out. We just sort of let it go.
Boom, boom,
boom, boom,
boom, boom, boom.
Daddy Yankee, Beatles.
Yeah. Friends again.
Friends again.
Yes. Okay, thank you everybody out there for watching, and until we connect again, take care.
Take care. Special
Bye.
Bye.
And now the music. There'll be like that unicorn logo thing that comes on.
The unicorn schmaltz,
with the Bhangra beat.
The Bhangra,
yeah, with my Bhangra beat.
The saccharine unicorn.
I love unicorns.
Yeah. And almost as much as you love Daddy Yankee. They're horses.
Bye.